Welcome back to another episode of What's Going On in the World. I'm your host, Tommy J. Hausman. Today is Monday, December 30th, 2024. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve, so we are approaching 2025. Marking that occasion, this will be episode 1 of season 4. So here we go. There's a lot to go over, so let's just jump right in. So, Jimmy Carter has passed away. He seemed to want to hang on to vote in the 2024 election, even though it did not go the way that he hoped. He did stick around and placed his vote for Kamala Harris. Jimmy Carter was a really good man. There's a lot of things we can talk about his accomplishments and what he has done for the world and how he has given back. There's lots of articles and lots of segments today about him, and I can't give them any more justice than anyone else has, so I just want to touch on a few things. And one of the things that I like to note is that how he started, how this great education system, this great Department of Education, and he put solar panels on top of the White House. And then Reagan came along and he took down those solar panels for no reason other than to just be an ass, and systemically started to dismantle the Department of Education, and we are reaping the consequences of that still today. So what we had Jimmy Carter come in. He started to try to steer our country in the right direction. And immediately, everybody got upset about that and wanted to let Reagan screw it all up. And we are still paying for that today. So he had a lot to do with lots of not-for-profits, and he really concentrated on the misinterpretations of religious texts that treated women badly and put women down and oppressed women. And that out of all the stories and all the things that I've heard today and yesterday, that's one of the things that stood out to me. And the reason it stood out to me is because every 10 minutes in the world, a woman is killed by a male partner or family member or a man. Every 10 minutes, a woman is killed by men. And that's why they choose the bear. And Jimmy Carter recognized this. We could do a whole segment about this, and who knows, I might. But a good man that lived to be 100 years old passed away yesterday. He was president when I was born. So it's pretty cool. The very first president of my lifetime. All right, moving on. So over the Christmas break, a digital civil war has broke out between MAGA and the MAGA billionaires. So the heart of the debate lies with the H-1B visa program for skilled foreign workers. Traditional MAGA loyalists see it as a threat to American jobs, while the faction called Doge, led by tech leaders Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, views skilled immigration as a lifeline for innovation. So on December 22nd, Trump appointed Sriram Krishnan, an Indian-born AI expert, as his senior policy advisor. The backlash from figures like Laura Loomer exposed a fault within the Trump's base, if you want to put it that way. Laura Loomer argued that these jobs should go to American STEM students, while Musk countered that American engineering workforce was too small to meet the demand. Musk tweeted, "Think of it like a pro sports team. To win championships, you recruit the best talent from anywhere in the world." So During this entire past year, and even longer than that, I've been arguing, for immigrants because, I mean, let's face it, we live in a country of uneducated and undereducated people. The 54% of the United States citizens read at a 6th grade level or below. And when someone that is, a little more well-versed in what's going on in the world tries to tell them what's going on in the world, which is, I feel like sometimes my main purpose in life, they assume that those people don't know what they're talking about and that they know just as much as them, even though they can't read at above a 6th grade level. So we have to face what the immigration problem is, and the immigration problem is racism. It's not crime. It's not taking things away from people. It's just racism. So immigrants, undocumented immigrants, however you want to look at them, less than 1% account for the violent crime in the United States. It's almost near 60% of violent crime is committed by white people. So you can't tell me it's about crime, because if it was about crime, we would be deporting white people, because white people are the largest source of crime in the United States. And since the Reagan era, how I mentioned earlier, how he systemically has caused the beginning and the continuation of the defunding of public schools and the ineffectiveness of our ability to make our school systems better. Reagan's begun that, and that's been a Republican ideal is that schools should be run as a for-profit system. And that has only deteriorated and segregated our schools and take funds away from public schools. Well, that's been going on for the past 40 years now. And that's why we have 54% of our population reading at a 6th grade level or below. Only 30% of our population has a bachelor's degree. So, yeah, we kind of need immigrants. We need immigrants for all types of things, and not just, these high-tech jobs. These H-1B visas are very important to the tech industry because there's not enough people with engineering degrees in the United States to fill those jobs. Immigrants account for nearly 25% of STEM workers. Over 40% of Fortune 500 companies were founded by immigrants or their children. One of the biggest companies that's doing so successful right now, it's leading the AI and the robotic and the gaming industry, is NVIDIA. NVIDIA was started by an immigrant. In healthcare, immigrants represent 29% of physicians and 22% of nursing and home health aides. So if you notice a lot of doctors with the name Patel, it's because we have a shortage of doctors. We have a shortage of nurses. We have a shortage of the ability to educate people that are interested in our own country. We have to turn them away because we don't have the staff to teach them all. Without immigrants, the United States fails. They make up 73% of farm workers, ensuring our food supply remains stable. So, when the election was going on, I knew that people that were running the government or trying to run the government or had successful businesses or were billionaires understood the importance of immigrants to our country, and I knew that they were lying to everyone. The people that were being lied to and the guys that took it hook, line, and sinker, I guess that's probably 50% of the MAGA base, largely uneducated, reading at a 6th grade level or below, believing that there was a crime wave coming from immigrants and immigrants taking jobs. They're not taking jobs. They're jobs that we don't want to work, we won't work, and we can't fill because we won't go to college, because for the past Since 2019 on Facebook, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen the meme that says, you don't have to go to college, you can be a welder or a plumber. Well, I mean, that's all great. You can be a welder or a plumber, but when you discourage people to educate themselves and to get a good education, even if you are going to be a plumber, we systemically undereducate our populace, and undereducated populace is, guess what, easy to control and easy to fool into believing that brown people are dangerous. And now we're here in a situation that now that these people are in control, they're going, oh yeah, we can't really get rid of all these immigrants because we need them. I don't know what's going to happen with Trump and how he's going to operate this mass deportation, because if he does, you think groceries are expensive now, you just wait till there's nobody working in the agriculture business anymore, because 73% of agriculture workers, farm workers, are immigrants. There's only 12 million to 14 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. Most of them are, 50% of those are here on lapsed work visas, because our system is so antiquated that we can't keep up with just renewing a visa, because we don't ever pass any laws for immigration. Because if we pass any laws for immigration, then it wouldn't be something that we can argue about and debate over and fire up the base every election. Because racism lives deep in the uneducated. It isn't just about filling jobs either. It's about innovation and sustainability. Studies show that granting undocumented workers citizenship could boost GDP by $1.5 trillion over a decade. So, here we are. We are in a world where people's racism trumps their ability to get on the internet and research. And they just believe what they hear. Every time I've argued with anybody about immigration, they've just, parroted back Trump talking points that don't make any sense and aren't true and are easily, it's just easy to look up. When the governors of cities are telling you, no, that's not happening, Republican governors of those cities are telling you, no, that's not happening, Trump is not telling the truth. He's just trying to get your vote and scare you and use fear. Well, it worked. It worked. Here we are. We have to have immigrants, and now you're all pissed off. And I got to tell you, it's pretty dumb. It's pretty dumb watching it all happen, especially since I've been sitting here the entire time saying this is exactly what's going to happen. So if we do have a mass deportation and you think groceries are high now, congratulations. You voted for a moron, and it's going to destroy our country. So just to highlight, the education problem just a little bit more, enrollment dropped in college from about 8% to between 2019 and 2022, during the pandemic, people about 8% stopped going to college, did not enroll. The National Science Foundation reports that only 10% of U.S. bachelor's degrees are in engineering, compared to 33% in China. So we are not elevating our U.S. citizens to the level that they need to be in STEM. Healthcare faces a shortfall of 124,000 doctors and 500,000 nurses by 2034. And meanwhile, all this time that we've been saying, hey, these little memes keep popping up and say, don't go to college. You don't need to go to college. Guess what's happening now? Automation is coming in, and it's starting to take everybody's jobs. If you want to check out my other podcast, Really Robots, I'll talk all about humanoid robots and how in the next 5 to 10 years, humanoid robots will displace 30 to 50% of labor. There's about 12 million manufacturing jobs. There's about 12 million fast food-oriented jobs and hospitality. And then we have all these gaps in healthcare, just like sitting with old people and taking their blood pressure, making sure they get their medicine. We don't have people for that. So robots are going to do it. humanoid robots, and they're coming fast. Thanks to Nvidia and its new Thor chip. It's Thor developer kit. It's a developer kit. Thor has this. They have this developer kit called Thor, and it's what's going to be put in robots. And it's insane, and it can run a whole AI system within itself, and it's about the size of your hand. And it's really cheap. They have one out now too. It's called the Omnier Super something. I can't remember exactly what the name is. I don't have it in front of me. But it's $250, which is very affordable. So that means just about anybody can run a large language model, which is what AI is, for $250. Pretty crazy, right? So automation is going to steadily get rid of all these jobs that these memes on Facebook have been telling you that it's okay to go get instead of going to college. And now we're here. We have a shortage of healthcare workers. We have a shortage of people that are willing to do manual labor, like in agriculture. And we have a huge shortage in STEM workers. You know, Germany combines vocational training and academic study. Education is free or low cost. Singapore invests lifelong learning initiatives and keeping workers adaptable. So what that means is that if you have a job and it changes and technology changes, that there are funds and grants and programs available for you to continue to educate yourself so you can continue to be viable to the workforce and make a living and, you know, take care of yourself. Finland offers free education through college, emphasizing equity and teacher excellence. Finland or Denmark, I think it's Denmark, you know, the one that the country that the incoming president has been threatening over Christmas. They not only have free college, but they give you a stipend to take care of yourself while you're in college. So when you actually nurture your citizens and you educate your citizens, you're able to use them in the workforce and elevate the entire populace as a whole. And you don't need to rely on other countries so heavily. Relying on other countries is okay to a point, but when we have to rely on them completely, that's bad. And it's because we have Republican policies over and over again frowning on education. And why do they frown on education? Let me reiterate this one more time. Because if you can't read it above a 6th grade level, and 70% of our population doesn't have a bachelor's degree, that means you're uneducated or undereducated, and you're easily fooled, especially when fear is used. So fear made you vote for an unqualified criminal who's been adjudicated for sexual assault and accused of sexual assault by almost 40 women. But that's okay for you because you thought that he was going to bring you more money, even though the economy was horrible when he was president, and he handled the pandemic horribly. More bankruptcies in oil companies happened during his presidency than ever before. And everybody keeps saying, but gas prices were the cheapest in 2016. In 2016, gas prices were so low. He wasn't president in 2016. Barack Obama was president in 2016 when gas prices were at their lowest. And that is something that you would be able to find out and know how to find out and understand how to research and how to gather that information to use to better yourself if you had just a little more education. Or if the education that you received K through 12 was better. And the reason it's not better is because of Republican policies taking money away from it and putting it into charter schools and into private institutions and voucher programs. So that's why we're here. That's it in a nutshell. This School choice. It's a polarizing topic, but in Iowa City, education savings accounts shifted public funds to private tuition, cutting per student funding by over $6,000. The result, larger class sizes, fewer teachers, and reduced resources. Josh Cohen from Michigan State University says redirecting billions to private school choice programs inevitably comes at the expense of public education. So we have and it's causing segregation again. It's causing the poorest of us who can't just go to any other school if they want to. And there's a lot of people that have transportation issues. I mean, if you live in a city like I live in, public transportation kind of sucks here. So, and that's probably not, that's probably common to other cities as well, because we don't spend the money on infrastructure that we need to. We're very car-centric country. So being able to get somewhere easily without a car is complicated. So this problem that we're facing in this MAGA civil war is very nuanced. There's lots of moving parts that are contributing to it. And it ties into even to Jimmy Carter and Reagan, and it ties into all the things that Barack Obama tried to do and Mitch McConnell tried to stop or gut. I mean, that's why we're here. If you want to look at the most prosperous times through U.S. history, it happened when a Democrat was president. If you want to see us go into debt and spend more money and be less productive and job growth go down, that happens during Republican presidencies. It happens for a reason. They're trying to just funnel the money to the top. Trickle down does not work. It has never worked. It will never work. And every time you guys try to put it back in place, everybody suffers. It's time for our citizens to start listening to each other. I would be more than happy to sit down with somebody that's a Trump supporter and try to analyze what their fears are and where their fears stem from, and try to tell them and help them understand what's going on in the world and how those things apply to the real world. But we won't even listen to each other. We won't even talk to each other without yelling or calling people names. I hear often that, you know, the intolerant Democrats who are supposed to be so tolerant. It's not. It's an intolerance for intolerance. That's the line. And that's where it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be intolerant of intolerance. So, of course, that's what you see. You see intolerance because you're being intolerant and we don't like it. Or Democrats don't like it. People don't like it. You know, the people that you're being intolerant of don't like it. You know, one of the biggest money and some of the largest amounts of money that were spent during the election were on transgender ads. Transgender ads. Less than 1% of our population identifies as transgender. So what is wrong? So 80 million people? 80? Is that correct? So yeah, like 77 million people are so worried about what's in other people's pants. It caused them to be fearful enough to vote for a criminal. Never in the history of ever has a child gone to school and come back with their gender changed. Whenever we have a undereducated populace, it's easy to make you worry about things that don't matter. How would you like it if 80 million people were concerned about what you were doing in your bedroom or what you had in your pants? That'd be kind of awkward. Wouldn't it be kind of weird? I mean, what does it matter to you? What does it matter to them? It's sad. It's sad that we, as a population, are concerned with such a trivial matter. And it's kind of pathetic. So, the United States, we find ourselves at a crossroads. You know, immigration, education, and workforce development, they're all interlinked. They're all interlinked. Without strategic investments and reforms, we risk falling behind nations that prioritize their workforce. So let's ensure we're not just competing, but let's be leaders. And I don't know how many of you are paying attention to the humanoid robot progression, but the goal of humanoid robots is to make them affordable. And once they're affordable, they can be dispersed, in mass. There's already several companies out there that are mass producing humanoid robots. They're already in the workforce. Agility Robotics already has the digit in Spanx factories. And they're already producing 10,000 of those robots a year in Washington State. China just released a robot that is very, very advanced for $12,000. The goal of the industry is $16,000. So China's already undercutting us. Lots of people use China in fear. I think there's lots of ways that we can work together with China and become a better nation. Maybe we could help the Chinese populace from an oppressive government where they don't have a lot of freedom in some cases, and maybe we could help with that. Maybe we could learn from them when they invest in education. So there's a lot of things that we could benefit from each other, but I don't want you to be fearful, but I do want you to understand that other countries are beating us, and they're going to continue to beat us if we don't change. And with Trump being president for the next 4 years, the likelihood of us changing for the better is very low. We have 2 years until we can vote again and put people in the Congress that might be able to stop him. So this is my message at the end of 2024 and the beginning of 2025, as we have now watched Trump nominate people that have paid 17-year-olds for sex into some of the highest positions of our government. A news anchor who's an alcoholic and has been accused of sexual assault. So many people that Trump has appointed into the highest level government positions are dangerous addicts, sexual assaulters, and have very bad views of the world. And that's because he's a criminal. He's a sexual assaulter himself, and he doesn't care. All he cares is about whether or not the people he put in position will do exactly what he says when he says it. And makes him a lot of money, makes everybody billionaires lots of money. You need to pay really close attention to what's going to start happening to all the money in the United States, and watch how it just funnels down from the bottom all the way back up to the top. Watch how the wealth gap it starts to increase because of this poor decision from an uneducated populace. I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. And I hope as we enter this new year in this very troubling situation that we find ourselves in now, I wish everybody the best. Happy New Year. I hope all of you enjoyed this special edition of what's going on in the world. Sorry I didn't talk more about what's going on in the world besides in the United States today, but there's a lot to go over. Because you can't just talk about this MAGA civil war and not get to the root of what the problem is. So I hope, at the very least, if you're listening to this and you don't agree with me, that you take the time to do a little research and you try to find why Republican Party wants you to be uneducated. Why is that? Just explore that. Why do they want you to be afraid of people that are different than you? Why? Thank you for joining us on What's Going On in the World. My name is Tommy J. Hausman. I'm your host. See you next time. Bye-bye.